Thank you very much. I so appreciate this opportunity to be here with all of you this morning. There's a wonderful story unfolding in the world today. We used to believe that genes controlled our life, and in that belief, we were more or less victims of our heredity. And now we understand there's a new science that's revolutionary, and it's changing the entire world. The science is called epigenetics. It sounds like genetics, but epigenetics means above the genes. We now know that our consciousness and our environment, our perception of the world, these are the things that control our genes. And when we understand that, then we start to recognize we're not victims of our genetics, we are masters of our genetics. But this involves organizing our consciousness and our spirit to work in harmony with our body. And this is why yoga becomes so important in our world scene today, because yoga is bringing that harmony into the system. And with that harmony, you are a powerful master of your life, not just internally, but externally. And so for me, it is a great honor to be here with these wonderful people on this panel, because what we have here is a professional people who have used yoga and created a world change with this yoga. So I'm honored here today. I'd like to present our first panelist, His Holiness Swami Chidanand Saraswati. And I want to thank him because I have to tell you, as a biologist and an environmental scientist, it was the first spiritual leader that I ever came across that said, the only way out of the problems in today's world is to bring spirituality from above and bring it down to the planet. And in doing so, His Holiness is changing the planet, and I'm so honored to introduce him. Thank you very much.
When I was very young, I was taken to the forest, in the jungle, being in the caves, in the mountains. And today, when I'm sitting from the mountains to the Manhattan city, I can share the secret, what happened to my life and how it happened. I saw the saints who were living there. There were no shopping centers. There were no Pizza Hut. There were no Starbucks, no Amazon.com to take where you want to go. Whatever you want to buy, nothing was available. But I noticed one thing. The saints living there, nothing was set, but they were set. Their hearts were set. Their minds were set. They were happy all the time. Not only happy. Whomever you ask, how are you? They say, super. Super? That's what is needed today in the 21st century, how to be super. Means evergreen, ever happy. No one can sneeze your happiness. And this can happen to all of us. You don't have to be in the caves, being in Manhattan City or being in California. You can create your own cave right here. And it can happen, number one. Number two, I was given few rules to follow every day. Number one was silence. The silence can take care of so many things. In silence, you can converse to yourself. In silence, you are not feeling empty. Silence is not empty. Silence is full and full of light and full of peace. It's not the lack of sound. It's lack of serenity. It's a full of serenity. Number two, they said, another S they gave me, santosha, means contentment. Number three, I don't want to expand on every issue. Number three, they said, every day, have a sanyam, means restrain, balance. Number four, they said seva, service to the humanity. Number five, the surrender to the divine plan. There is a divine design, there is a divine plan, and not my will, but thy will. Be with the thy will, and you can see the things happening in your life. And I could see to maintain that super happiness. And today, when I'm sharing to you, because I have seen Dr. Nada, the way she explained, I don't have to go in details, but it is super that WHO has come forward to give the stamp. It is not the stamp is being opened in the name of yoga. Yesterday we did it, the US postal stamp. But they have stamped for the world over that yes, yoga works. And yoga worked in my life, yoga can work in every life. But today we have to give a new dimension to yoga. I think time has come we should move from healthcare to health culture to healthy culture. Healthy culture means happy culture, peaceful culture. Peace is very important today. Whether it's a SDGs goal or in our family's goal, this should be first and foremost, maintain the happiness, because if you are happy, you exude happy. If you are in peace, you exude peace, you manifest peace, you share peace. And if you are in pieces, what you share? Only pieces. So that's why we have to understand the choice is ours, whether you can be in peace or in pieces, whether you can be sad or upset, whether you can be bitter or better every day. It's you who can make the decision. It is you who can maintain your health through these parameters. Next, I think healthcare is being discussed in this nation. I think we should go from healthcare to yoga care. Yoga can help because today the medicines are so expensive. Poor people suffering and dying all over the world because they can't afford those medicine. We can include, and I'm glad WHO has included in their curriculum that yoga is the way. Number 3, one more very important thing. As I said, medicines are not available to all. I think let us move a new era of healthcare. Let us move from medication to meditation. To me, meditation is the best medication for all agitations. Time has come. Don't medicate your children. Don't medicate children. Children are the most who are suffering the most. Don't medicate your children. Just teach them how to meditate, and rest will be taken care of it. It is taken care of in my life. Today I'm 65, as you said, and no problem. Things are going great. Super. I can say this is the way to be super, and it works. Last, which is very important to me, this is every day you must introspect. Introspect, where do you stand? End of the day, you matter, life matters. If you are in peace, if you are happy, you are healthy, you will not be looking for the hospitals. I don't want to shut down the hospitals, but at least in the hospitals, with the meditation must be introduced, and it will work. And it is worked. It will work not only for me, because meditation has no religion, as she said. Yoga has no religion. Yoga is a way of life. Yoga is beyond religion, and yoga is for all, and yoga is for everyone. Let us embrace yoga. Last, we must not forget, when we are talking about the health, let us have a new dimension, because yoga is inclusive. When yoga is inclusive, includes all. Why to hesitate? Let us include one more thing. Water, sanitation, and hygiene. Wash in, wash out. Meditation is going to take care of wash in. And our water, sanitation, hygiene, without that, millions of children are dying on this earth. And we have to take care of that. To me, I have decided that sanitation and meditation can work together. To me, sanitation is meditation. And I think with WHO, with the UN, through the United Nations, we can create the United Creations now, and we can work together. We can work together. Let us hold our hands together wherever you are. Yes, this can work together. This can work together. Water, sanitation, and hygiene should be our primary goal, and yoga can include that. Thank you. Next.
I want to thank you for these most powerful words, and as a medical researcher, I have to stand 100% behind every word you said, because our health is in our consciousness, and yoga will bring us back to the center of health. I appreciate everything you have said, Your Holiness. Thank you. To my left is a dear friend, Sadhvi Bhagwati Saraswati. And what's so interesting about my dear friend is that she was getting a psychology degree at Stanford University while I was there. And what's interesting is that she left Stanford just to go on a vacation to India 25 years ago, and she never left. She found His Holiness. She found Paramath Niketan, which is a center of international yoga in the world today. It's just a pleasure to talk with Sadhviji, because I come from a medical background and she came from a psychology background. And today we recognize that stress is the leading cause of illness on this planet. And yoga is the resolution for that. But I'd like Sadhviji to tell me in her words and her science how this yoga is affecting all of us on this planet and how we can heal from it.
Well, thank you so much, Bruce. And it's so wonderful to be here. And actually, our respected Dr. Nata did such an incredible job laying the foundation that I just feel so grateful, because there's now so much that we don't have to cover about the interaction between the body and the mind, and the role of depression, the role of issues in our mind and our heart on our body. For me, what I found is that I had done yoga, of course, in America prior to going to India, just as an antidote to being a student hunched over a desk, to carrying book bags in the days before iPads. But what I didn't know was that yoga was really the answer to all of the stress and all of the strain, not just in my shoulders, not just in my back, not just in my neck, but in my mind and in my heart. And now, with research that you've done, with research that so many people are doing, we're seeing that we're not a body and a mind, but rather that we are this one cohesive being, body-mind, that speaks to each other. We don't have time this morning to go into all of the details, but science is now showing incredibly the role of our emotions, of our thoughts, of our beliefs on our immune systems, on our physical body. Things like my thoughts impacting the rate at which immune system cells divide in a petri dish being held in your hands. I mean, this is phenomenal research that's being done at not New Age yoga studios, but at universities like Duke and Dartmouth and Princeton, that's showing us the role of spirituality, of peace on our physical health. All of these institutions have brought out incredible studies showing that people who are spiritual, and of course, it doesn't matter what the religion is. It doesn't matter how we conceive of or connect to the divine. But that connection really is what heals us. Because what we know, as I shared last night, is that disconnection is what hurts us. And stress, we now know, is the leading cause of so many illnesses. But the stress comes, in this society, sadly, from being taught that there's somehow something lacking in our life. And that's what yoga really cures. Here in this world, we're told basically, if I just could be a little richer, a little prettier, a little smarter, a little thinner, a little more successful, if I just could buy this or own that or get this degree or have a house in that part of town, then I would be happy, then I would be set, then I would be peaceful. But of course, what spirituality has told us for thousands and thousands of years, and now science is telling us, is it doesn't come from those things. It actually comes from within. And this is where we get back to what the sages and the saints and the rishis have been telling us for thousands of years, which is, as you are on the inside, so you create on the outside. As is your inner reality, so is the outer reality. And yoga, as the system of union, of fullness, of wholeness, is that which brings us the experience of being full and whole and complete, not based on a degree, not based on a shopping center, not based on an evening at Pizza Hut, not based on what I weigh, how much my bank balance is, but simply due to the truth of the nature of who I am. And yoga connects us with that. And then, of course, yoga connects us with our families and with our world, bringing health to that. And if we ever doubt the impact that the mind has on our physical body, on our experience of pain, you just have to look, for example, at my favorite example, which is people who have had limbs amputated. To most of us, if I fall and I injure my arm, and I say, oh my God, I'm in such pain. Well, where's the pain? In my arm. And yet, more than 50% of people, as you know, who have had a limb amputated continue to experience pain in the limb that they no longer have, which means that that experience of pain, and therefore the experience of peace, is all in the mind. And the cure for that pain, interestingly, is this trick that we play on the mind. So it's all in the mind, and this is what the science of yoga gives us, is how to make the mind, as Pujya Swamiji said so beautifully, in peace, not in pieces, so that that's what we can spread and share, and so that our bodies can be in balance, in alignment for our physical and mental health. And then, of course, so that we can bring that into our families and into our world. The very last point I just wanted to mention on this is whether we talk about the sickness that our bodies face, or whether we talk about the sickness that our earth is facing, our lack of connection, our lack of yoga, is actually the cause of that, and therefore is the solution. And so the system of yoga, from the yamas and the niyamas up to samadhi, actually gives us the solution to everything that ails us, from pain in my physical body, to depression, to stress in my mind and my heart, to war between our nations, and to the ravaging of our earth, of our planet. And so being here today discussing this and being able to bring what science shares, I've got great hope and great enthusiasm that we're really going to make an incredible, incredible difference, not just for ourselves individually, but for ourselves and our planet collectively.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank you so very much, because I know your effort is changing the world in which we live, and it's a necessary time to bring power back to the people, and I appreciate that. And talking about power back to the people, I'm so honored to introduce our next guest, Keith Mitchell. Now, to my right is His Holiness, and he's a revered living saint. And to my left is Keith Mitchell, who is a saint of a different kind. Very amazing story that Keith has to tell us, and I'd like to start with the fact that, as you said, you were hit, tackled, laying on the ground, realized you couldn't move, and all of a sudden in your mind, your consciousness, your whole career, your whole life was flashing in front. And now you're here in the world of yoga and telling people about how health and consciousness can come together, and you are an example, a prime example of the power of yoga in changing our lives. And perhaps you can lead us from the moment of my world is collapsing to the new world that you have.
Thank you. Thank you. First, it's an honor to be here. It's just amazing to celebrate this International Yoga Day here with you all, the honoraries, the dignitaries. So that was my story. I grew up in Texas, and I had all my life been conditioned in the sense of thinking of myself as an athlete, and I had a lot of attainments, of whether it be from high school, college, and to the pros, and all I ever known myself was to be this football player. And when that actual incident happened, there's a posture we call shavasana, and I was basically on my back in this space of vulnerability. And as that gladiator type of person, because I played the linebacker position, and it's like the alpha male on the position is seeking out, and it's hitting pretty much all day long. So, so when I'm in this vulnerable space, the masculine, and all the people, we probably had about 80,000 people in the stands and millions of people watching, and I'm in this place of vulnerability. And I did realize this identity falling away, and I'm trying to hold it. In so many cases, we all kind of cling to these things that we've, attained, that we're good at. And I guess fortunate and unfortunate, some, like the doctor, the lawyer, gets to live that out his entire life, never having the idea of transitioning. But for extreme sports to military types, we have to transition because we can't do this game forever. And so for me, I lost that, but I gained so much. I gained another identity. When I was in this, I was diagnosed with a spinal contusion, and the doctor, they didn't know if I would walk. And I wasn't even thinking about walking. I was thinking about playing in my mind, because that's how I was. I was this gladiator, and everything was possible for me. And I thought like this ever since a kid. But yeah, so the doctor said, we don't know what your circumstances are. And I was learning in the hospital, the nurse just came to me. And ironically, they had me in a rehabilitation program, and I couldn't move. So she whispered into my ear, and she said, I'm going to talk to you about conscious breathing. She says, on the inhale, the diaphragm pushes down. On the exhale, it pushes up. And we take about 10,000 breaths a day. And with the idea that you can commit to, we call it intention in yoga, to put this intention that in this I can heal myself. One of the interesting quotes that I've created from this, when I realized that I can participate in my healing, then I'm no longer the victim. So no matter what the diagnosis is, when I realize that I can participate in this, I'm a victor. And so for me, that was my playbook. My intention, I'm going to heal myself. And the time was of urgency, because never every day wasn't promised. I didn't know what was going to be the next day and the next week and so forth. And I went through these stages of depression. I went through these stages of insanity, and I had to really question a lot of things. But one of the things that I questioned when I was flat on my back, I questioned the relationships that I had. I questioned the relationships I had with my mother and father and my sister, and the words that I would say casually about love. And really, when I think about the words I would say, they had no substance. And I realized the mindset when I come out of this hospital, because I know I'm going to will myself to be functional again, I want to have more depth in my love. I want to have more depth in this. But then I had to realize I had to have more depth in myself. My whole life, I had put myself in compromised situation. I realized my body didn't even trust me. This was a relationship I had, basic neglect. So through this process, one of the interesting things I learned was patience. Because as my body was going through this transformation of kind of like defrosting, it was like every day, it was just like a little bit more feeling, a little bit more feeling. And I'm over here like, hurry up, let's go, we gotta go. But I had to be patient. And not only did I have to be patient, I had to be compassionate. And I had to learn that. I got a lesson 101 in compassion and patience with myself. But then I also realized how when I move forward, this day forward, because no matter what happens in the past, right? This moment forward, we can move into a whole nother space. And for me, and through this month-and-a-half period of going in and out of paralysis and being poked and prodded by doctors, I became functional again. But it also took me to this place of meditation, took me to this place of yoga. And I started to realize connection in my own life with myself. And then it expanded out to the people around me. And then as I went a little bit deeper, it expanded into places in my community. I went to one of the most interesting things that I had experienced in my life. I went to the yoga retreat. And it was like a weekend. And I met people that in this short period of time that seemed like months, they knew more about me than my immediate family did. I was able to expose myself to them, and I was like, are you kidding me? The world should know about this. And I created this really, and I want to talk about this because I believe this idea of greatness potential, because this is how I teach, because I like to take each and every person and say, what's great in you? And if you haven't realized something that's great in you, we're going to find something that's great in you today. Because all these practices really don't matter unless you make it applicable in your life. We have to make this thing functional in our lives, and this perpetuates it out into the world. So back to this, and I'll make it really quick. I know we're on time, right? But I had this idea. I had just moved to LA, and I wanted to create something for the community because I wanted to have this event. I wanted to create this space because I just had this mind-blowing experience, and I wanted the city of LA to experience this. But you know the kicker about this? I had just moved to LA, and I probably knew 10 people. And I had an idea of having thousands of people. And I'm like, where am I going to put it? I said, we chose the Coliseum, the LA Coliseum, where they hosted the Olympics and so forth, and they play football games there and host over 100,000 people. And I wanted to get the police chief involved. I wanted to get the mayor involved. I wanted to get the community leaders involved. I didn't know how I was going to do it. And this is this thing we call manifesting. And I manifested this idea. And it's not about how, it's about this is what's going to happen. I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to sow this seed into the universe, and I'm going to see this out. And to make the story short, I got the city council to help me bus in 5,000 kids. We had 3 stages. One stage committed to solely meditation yoga. We had one stage committed to solely nutrition, teaching people about health and nutrition. We had health screenings. We had a 5K run walk. Brought the community together, and they had never experienced anything like that, because guess what? We made it for free. And we raised about $750,000 through the experience. And through the foundation, we donated this money back into the community of Los Angeles. And I'm here to tell you, just like I told when I talk to little kids and they talk about being and aspiring to be an athlete, 0.02% make it. You have a better chance of winning the lottery. But I tell them, you can do it. And it's not about how. It's not about the story, but it's just putting your mindset to it. It's that story, if you reach for the moon and you come up short, you grab the stars. And this is what's possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank all these presenters up here because each one of them has a profound story that can change the world. And I'm so honored to be here with people who are making a difference because the world needs us and needs all of you, and we need yoga. Thank you very much.